Moving ahead, dear participants, I'm sure we all are eagerly waiting for our very first panel discussion on modernization to hyper-converged cloud infrastructure. It's an honor for me to introduce our eminent panel members of our very first panel discussion. Our first eminent panelist we have with us today is Mr. Mohammad Sibgatullah Khan. He is the Director IT at National Petrochemical Industrial Company. And we have our second eminent panelist, Mr. Shumon A. Zaman, Chief Information and Digital Officer at Ali and Sons Holding LLC. Our third eminent panelist is Mr. Omar Al-Samdi, IT Manager at Alizara Holding. Our fourth eminent panelist is Mr. Ramakrishnan Natarajan, Vice President IT at Emirates Hospitals Group. And last but not the least, we have Mr. Ahmed Hafiz, Business Director and Site Lead, Refinitiv Data and Analytics at London Stock Exchange Group, who will chair the panel discussion as our eminent panel moderator. All the best to the eminent panelists, and over to you, Mr. Hafiz, to graciously moderate your panel.
Thank you, Bridget. I hope you can hear me well. Good afternoon, everyone, and greetings from Doha. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Ahmed Hafiz, and I run the Refinitiv business in Qatar. Refinitiv is the data and analytics business or arm of the London Stock Exchange Group. It's a pleasure to participate in the Qatar Hybrid Cloud and Cybersecurity Summit and to moderate this interesting session. Actually, really very much enjoyed the discussions before. First time to hear about the global cybersecurity index and the hybrid cloud strategy. So it's very, very useful themes. Before we talk technical, actually, I want to share with the audience one business slide that was a result of a recent global cybersecurity and compliance survey that we recently conducted at Refinitiv. And what strikes me most in this slide actually is that I hope you can see on the screen, 86% of respondents either use technology to support them with fraud detection and cybersecurity risks, or they are looking to do so in the future. 91%, as you can see, of those who use technology in KYC, compliance, and other businesses are looking to improve financial crime detection and mitigation over the next 12 months or so. And again, 86% of respondents agreed that innovation or innovative digital technologies have helped identify financial crime and fight cybersecurity challenges. So as you can see, innovation plays a major role in this business. With this, I might maybe we can talk more technical now, and we have a very distinguished panel of experts. Maybe I can address the first question to Omar at this stage. So Omar, you've heard the keynote speeches earlier, and why do you think, in your view, is hyper-converged infrastructure important? And what are the key factors driving the growth of this business from your experience? Omar?
Thank you, Ahmed. And again, thank you guys for inviting me to this lovely session and the conference of the Q.S.C. Summit. For hyperconvergence and the need right now. As we heard in the keynote speech and the earlier presentation, COVID have forced a certain situation across the globe. So as we know, a lot of organization enterprises would have the digital transformation planning across, let's say, different sections, different years to roll out in stages. But the unfortunate COVID issue that struck everybody have accelerated the deployment and the plans across all over the companies. And we've seen the closures that happened everywhere. I mean, all shops have suffered or companies have suffered. People who were technology ready and adopting the latest, let's say, transformation of technologies have been able to continue on with their services to their, let's say, targeted audience. And for hyperconverged infrastructure, if we look at why is it important? As of now, if you go back a decade, or about a decade, everything was based on traditional infrastructure, mostly components of servers, storage, networks, and what have you, along with the software tiers across all of the tiers. But that cannot adapt to the continuous ongoing demand of the business, and does not give the agility or flexibility for the IT team to deliver the performance required or the application demand from the business side. And the hyperconvergence concept has come up that actually can remove the complexities and unify all these different tiers in one so-called node that combines compute and storage and network infrastructure, and covered with one software tier. Well, it drove the new thing we call software-defined architecture. So it's you don't need to have specific expertise in how to manage the storage separately or the service interfaces separately. It's only one single interface that can allow the company to deploy accordingly or scale out based on requirement and demand. So speed to deploy has been grown dramatically with the deployment of the hyperconverged infrastructure. Now IT team can actually deploy in minutes new systems, let's say scale out with the let's say increased demand on the service from the business side, without having to wait for long durations of provisioning and configuring, and without having specific specialized skills on the storage separately and the infrastructure. So that has alleviated a lot of headache from the, let's say, even data center footprint. It's much less as of now, so less power consumption. It's all combined in one smaller unit that actually work harmonically with the help of the AI built on top of the software tier, empowering the hyperconverged infrastructure. And to that as well, the cost itself, it's now so much that virtualization has become much higher. You don't have something to, the capacity planning concept for the IT team has changed drastically. We don't need now to plan 3 to 5 years of capacity, whereas we actually grow node by node depending on the business scale out or scale down. And that reduced a lot of cost, increased efficiency for the company itself. The productivity has maximized. The return on investment has been much higher as of now. So all in all, the demand and the, let's say, accelerated adoption of technology due to the pandemic have, let's say, accelerated the realization of the benefits of such technologies that can actually attend to business requirements in a much faster way than traditional infrastructure was.
Can I ask a follow-up question on this? Actually, do you think that recently Qatar has adopted a cloud strategy for the whole country? Do you think this supports this plan? Does this push all companies to do more as far as cloud infrastructure is concerned?
Definitely, when the government is having the umbrella of adoption across the all segments and all sectors, especially the public sector. Whereas if we go back 2 years back, there was some resistance to go for the public cloud, for example. Now, for the government adopting all this and having this cloud strategy across all domains will definitely push, let's say, all sectors in the government and the private sector as well. If we see right now, we have big companies opening regional data centers in Qatar as of now. So that is coming in alignment with the overall country strategy for cloud adoption. So we have, I think Microsoft is here as well, Google is here. I mean, Oracle, I think, I'm not sure they're going to consider that later on, but major data centers, public cloud adoption has been pushed from the government and from across all the private sector.
Right.
So this is definitely putting all the support forward.
Right. Thank you. Mohammed, thanks for joining us. You're joining us from Jeddah today, right? So welcome. And again, same question to you. I mean, why is it important, and what are the key factors behind this growth? And do you see this a trend in the industry as well?
Thank you very much, Ahmed. First of all, for this eminent panelist where I'm being invited to, and thank you very much for the organizers also. To start off, let me tell you, like Umar has covered almost all the part of it, but still, I think I have to have a few more things over there, as HCI is playing a very critical and very important role in the technological world. And at the same time, as he has already mentioned about the IT, how much they are right now, they have to diversify their requirements. Earlier, it used to be a standard data center and things related to their own data center, and they used to plan it in 3 to 5 years of time. But now it has been changed completely. So you have to adopt HCI solutions where you will have an agility, flexibility, you can say scalability, and you can even plan for a unified storage, cost effective. And it is, you can say, from access perspective, it is an easy thing where you can manage all these things from one kind of console. So keeping in mind, like definitely there are certain points related to your capex and opex also, which has to be considered. Where from planning perspective, if you are going to think earlier, it used to be a capex expenditure, what we are going to plan related to your data center. But now it has been changed and it is moving towards the OPEX. So the things are moving, and at the same time, as Amar and the core speakers, they already mentioned, due to the COVID, this transformation has taken it on a very fast pace, and all, I'm sure, in all the areas, like especially in the Middle East, each and every country is coming up with their own regulation, with their own cloud strategy. And at the same time, I feel like a HCI or else a hyper-converged infrastructure strategy has to be built up internal to your department, and to see the business requirement and move ahead accordingly to that.
Right, very interesting. And does it make a difference? You are from the petrochemical and energy industry, so does it make a difference from one industry to another?
Yeah, definitely it makes a difference, because, you know, from coming from a security perspective, we have to comply to certain security regulations where we have a standard one, which is NC, and at the same time, being a petrochemical company, we are compliant to a local body regulation. So moving our data, has to be taken into consideration, and based on the regulation perspective, we can plan accordingly.
Thank you for sharing this. Shimon, welcome on board. Good to have you. I think you missed listening to the question that we raised at the beginning of the session. We're talking basically about why is hyper-converged infrastructure important, and what are the key factors driving the growth of hyper-converged infrastructure from your experience. So if you can highlight some info on this, and also as a CIO, you know, how can you leverage innovation by using hyper-converged cloud infrastructure? So floor is yours. You're mute, Shimon. So yeah.
Sorry about that. Apologies, I had a few technical issues joining earlier. Very honored to be part of the panel with all the top guys here. Very humbled. From my perspective, I would like to give a different slant to what we're doing, and you know how we can share some of the good things we're doing in Abu Dhabi here. Technology and you know, the tech stack and all that is one thing. My focus is more on innovation and how do we get business to drive value from the technology. You know, technology for sake of technology adds no value as far as I'm concerned. So my role is to, you know, partner with businesses to leverage innovation and digital technology. And of course, we have to use the cloud and all the other stuff that goes with it to provide the value. One of the key things now with digital transformations, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about what is digital and what is digital transformation. In my humble opinion, it's all about changing business models and then using tools, leveraging the tools to create value. So we operate in 6 different industries, from automotive to construction, real estate, oil and gas, you name it, we actually have some part in it, and also leveraging new startups. So can we leverage the data across all these industries? Can we see trends developing? And the way you do that is by leveraging cloud technology. You look at trends, you use AI and machine learning to look at all the trends, to find new products and services that you can add to your business group that you have today. So I'm working 3 years ahead of time. It's not for today. I'm working for what should be in 3 years time as a group, you know, because we're getting disrupted. Every industry, no matter what you are, there is a certain amount of disruption happening. The key is, can you take advantage of it? And for us, it's all about looking at the data, looking at the trends, using AI and machine learning and stuff like that to develop new products and services. So where we lose margin in one area, we actually improve it by doing something different.
Interesting, different aspects of the business. How can I ask you one more question? Actually, how do you measure ROI, the return of investment of such, innovation and initiatives? How do you do that? You mentioned you are across 6 businesses, and probably looking at the next 5 or 10 years. So how is the ROI measured in this case?
I think the most critical part for us is that we are very outcome based. We don't start a journey without knowing where we're going to end up, right? So what we do is look at our aim is to grow revenue by X%. Now, how do we achieve that? So we work back. What are the tools, the technology, the investments, the people that we need to put in place in order to gain that traction and deliver those X% in revenue or X% in reduction in cost? And having clear milestones to make sure that you're on track all the time is how you actually deliver whatever the outcome that you've set out to be. It's like getting on a plane, you need a destination, right? So a digital project of this transformation of size and scale, you need to know where you're going to be at a certain point in time, and how you achieve that. You have to plan it, and meticulous planning, meticulous execution, and meticulous buy-in from the board is success criteria that you need to have in place.
Very interesting. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Last but not least, Ram, thanks for joining us. You're joining from UAE, Dubai. Is it Dubai? Okay.
That's right.
Yeah. So again, the same question. Why is it important, and the key factors, and also does it make difference when you're talking about the medical industry? It's a very interesting one. Innovation and technology plays a major role in this. So how do you look at that?
Yeah, see, I think the major key factors are already highlighted by our key panelists, and to be frank, it's an honor to be sharing the same stage with all you guys. Thank you for that. Now, when we talk about AI, innovation, and machine learning, so these things basically require the underlying technology to be robust enough. Now we are talking about when you compare this with the modern so-called modern data centers that have like different pieces of storage, compute, and networking, and the complexity that comes with it to manage, and the scaling issues that also come with that, and the interoperability between them. So they really pose a great. They do not help in rapidly deploying these applications and these technologies that can utilize machine learning with huge amounts of data that needs to be analyzed in as less time as possible. So with hyperconvergence, basically, which is either it can be a hyperconverged infrastructure within your own network, which you call it a private cloud, or it be a cloud environment that utilizes hyperconvergence, and without that it wouldn't be possible, of course. So these are the environments which enable these applications to run on containerization, and that basically enables it to process huge amounts of data in as less time as possible, and especially it helps the DevOps team to rapidly scale their deployment in as it is required. If you see today's application are so much customer focused, so much customer experience focused, you cannot have the same amount of volume that you have today, and you cannot expect that volume to be the same. There might be huge bursts where you cannot imagine. You have to scale up immediately. So this is where HCI and the cloud plays a major role, where this agility which is built into them really helps to serve these needs, basically. And as you asked, when it comes to healthcare, definitely to be frank, healthcare is playing a catch up right now. Out of all the sectors, healthcare is the last to adopt technology because we are playing with lives of people. So we are very careful. So you would see that it would be, we always catch up to technology. We know that everyone is using it. Okay, that's fine. We can go there too. Yes, but we are catching up quite fast now. And when it comes to deploying our applications on the cloud, yes, it is as long as it falls within the doctrines of the existing regulations. You know, this pretty much everybody is doing. Starting from small scale clinics to big hospitals, we want our services to be on cloud. We want them to be accessed anywhere, of course, with the proper cybersecurity measures. And this is being adopted pretty fast. Even when you talk about tier 4 applications, they used to be available only on premise before. But now, the tier 4 application vendors, they are developing their application infrastructure in such a way that it can scale in the cloud as well. And it has to, if they have to grow, it has to, I mean, it's a need of the hour. So definitely it plays a major role in healthcare as well. And healthcare is adopting it in quite a fast scale right now.
Very interesting, Rama. To be honest, I thought that the healthcare would be on the forefront of adopting these technologies, but you corrected my. It
is. See, basically, there are multiple areas of it. Some areas, of course, healthcare is in the forefront. Technology is, in fact, built for healthcare in some instances.
Right.
But overall, when you see the adoption of the overall industry sectors, we still are catching up.
Right. Interesting. This is great. Very insightful. We still have around 8 minutes. I'm coming from a business background, so I would like to ask probably all of you, and 2 simple questions. Where do you see the trend of the market going, of this industry going, and also what is the single piece of advice you would give or you would share with other professionals in the field? So Omar, maybe can we start with you?
Yeah, sure. With regards to trends as of now, it's we're seeing more, let's say, technology vendors providing the HCI infrastructure, and the more advanced ones as of now, they can actually also integrate with the cloud, public clouds, and you still have the HCI interface managing all the HCI nodes with all the resources and extending to the cloud. So even if you have the necessity of immediately to scale out, and you have a cloud, let's say, environment as well, public cloud as well, with you as well, you can scale out to the public cloud beyond your local HCI infrastructure if the need came to it. And again, the adoption was mainly having issues with the regulations from different sectors. There was a lot of, let's say, debate about how secure is data on the cloud. But now so much security vendors are actually developing, they have been developing, now it's being enhanced in much better ways on how to secure data on the public cloud. Special regulations, for example, geographical boundaries, as in data should not leave the boundaries of Qatar, for example.
Yeah.
So that's we saw Microsoft, Google opening data centers here. Even Ooredoo, as a let's say telco, they have their own data centers to support public cloud, let's say, operations, but within the geographical boundaries of Qatar. So that helped adoption for the public sector and ease up the tension of where data should reside. And there is a lot of regulations on how you treat data, especially you have global, let's say, standard like GDPR from Europe and a lot of other standards. Financial sector have its standards as well. Healthcare is even stringent. It relates to patient information as well. So the more this gets, let's say, more, let's say, mature from the standard point of view, adoption will continue. It gives pavement to the way of implementing quickly solutions on such technologies without and catching up with the market. And first in the market will be actually the one who's succeeding later on.
Right. Thanks, Omar. Muhammad, same question, trend and advice.
Yeah, thank you very much once again, Ahmed. Ahmed, the trend is definitely it is booming, and at the same time, each and every cloud service platform or cloud hosting company are based on this only. And at the same time, let me tell you, like more on application perspective, the companies are heading. Earlier, it used to be the network and storage and all together in one box, but now they are each and every company is coming up with the hosting of application on the HCI solution, where you can leverage and where you can scale up things. And not to just miss it depends upon your requirements, what and how you're going to do it. Okay, just to start off, you can start off with a hybrid approach, where a number of entities has already started, and they have started moving to the hybrid. They started utilizing partial of as shared by Shumon, like multiple cloud vendors. It's not something where any industry is sticking to one. So you can have these leverages, and you can just make a plan and come up with it so that you achieve these things.
Right. No, thanks. I think we will hear a lot more about hybrid cloud strategy as we go. Shumon, to you. Again, trend and innovation and advice.
Yeah, so I think Omar and Mohammed really covered the cloud and infrastructure and all that requirements. So let me come at a different piece. My prediction for the future is digital twins. In 3 to 5 years, we'll probably have digital twins of ourselves. How are we in terms of our health? Sensors recording our movements, our blood pressure, all this. The cars we sit in, collecting data about our position, our health, all that kind of stuff will be data, rich data, that we can actually get new insights in terms of our health, how we spend, where we go, how we go. And using that data, you can then start predicting different business models, different products, different services. So for me, if you're going to start anywhere, first get the basics down, foundation, move to the cloud, because without cloud, there is no digital transformation. The terabytes of data, clean data that you need to analyze, to use machine learning and AI technology is not going to come on-prem. It has to be on cloud. You need compute power, you need storage, and you need it on the fly as and when you grow. So that's a given. You have to move to the cloud. And then the second stage is, how do you then use that technology to create new value? And this is where innovation comes in. And if you're in particular industries, you're collecting data, and that data, if it's clean, you can analyze it using machine learning technology and get new insights and predict the future. And if you can predict the future, then you know what your customers need before they understand what they need themselves. Then you can solve.
Right.
That's my last.
No, very interesting, and you're absolutely right. Digital transformation is a keyword that we've been listening now to from clients all the time. So absolutely spot on. Ram, the last word to you. Trend and advice, mainly on the medical healthcare.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Ahmed. I think Shumon briefly touched on one of the trends which is definitely going to come, which is the proliferation of Internet of Medical Things. Now, these are basically small gadgets, wearables, injectables. All these things are, they are already there in the market. It's not that they're not there. They're already been researched for years now. They are ready. But definitely there are not all aspects of technology are growing proportionally. In order to combine all these, you need you need compute, you need storage, you need network. Now, with the advent of 5G and all the technologies which are hyper fast, I think the future is not very far where Shumon's visions are going to come true.
Very true, very true. Gentlemen, this has been really insightful. Good luck with your projects. We are at the top, almost at the top of the hour. So thank you again for sharing your insights and thoughts, and wish you all the best in your future cloud projects and initiatives. Thank you all. Thanks for all the audience who joined us today, and wish you the best with the rest of the summit. back to the organizers. Bridget.
Thank you all.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Ahmed, for wonderfully moderating the discussion. It indeed was very interactive, very engaging, some great key takeaways for all our eminent delegates. And thank you once again to all our eminent panelists, Ramakrishnan, Omar, Shumon, Mohammed, everybody who took time out and their efforts towards our QCC summit. Enjoy the rest of the day.